Hello, it's Bruce here with Ian, our assembly tech. Hey, did you know that all of the Safe and Sound products are made and manufactured in North America? David mentioned that people assume, I never really thought about it before, that these things are made in China, and that's not the case. So I'm here with Ian, and what are you up to at the moment here? Yeah.
Right now you've caught me building or finishing up units for final calibration, or RF testing basically.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, so we'll get David to show on a map all the different places where we get our stuff from. Just thought you'd be interested.
Okay, so I've got a session here, online session with David, just to show us where our supplies come from.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. We try to get as much of our components and as much of the devices we make from North American vendors as possible. And the main reason for that is when we can actually meet the vendors face to face, shake hands with them, have real meetings with them, get them on the phone. We've had by far the best experience, and that feeds into the quality of the finished product. If we have an issue, we can resolve it quickly with a phone call, and it's somebody we actually know. So the main reason for that is actually just being able to have a relationship with these people. And I think we've met every one of the vendors I'm going to take you through in person, except for that red dot that's in Alberta. Right there. So I'm going to take you through our North American vendors here, which is the vast majority of the components and the overall kind of mass and volume of our products.
All right.
And then this Toronto area, you can see an extra big circle there.
Yeah, right
I'll
here.
have a separate picture for that just because we have so many vendors in that area.
Okay.
Okay, so first up here in Alaska, in Fairbanks, we have a friend of mine, Mike, and he does some resin printing for us. So he does a 3D resin printed prototypes for us. So this is like a vat of liquid resin that's developed with ultraviolet light. And he also does some structural components that are in Muir Pro 2 cases that provide support for circuit boards. So we're able to kind of augment our case with these braces. And he works with Corey, who's actually, I think in a couple of our videos, Corey does a lot of 3D design work for us. He's also up there at Fairbanks.
Okay.
The next dot down here in the San Francisco Bay Area, this is in San Jose, California, and that is EMS, which is EM Solutions Incorporated. They are a circuit board manufacturer, assembler. So they have all the surface mount lines there, and they populate and test circuit boards. They do some builds too, so they can do board programming, and they can do some kind of custom soldering and configuration for us as well. And our contact there is Kevin, and we've worked with EM Solutions since 2014. And I've met Kevin and his brother Austin, and his parents actually started the business, Lily and John. I've met them as well, and do weekly calls with them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
Then up here in Alberta, this is Cohaja boxes, or Cohaja custom boxes. And they do custom retail packaging. So they do our Safe and Sound micro boxes, as well as, we have some kind of future projects that we're going to do with them as well. And our contact there is Steve, super great guy, very easy to work with. They will actually ship within Canada for free too, so you can get custom boxes with custom printing on them, and free shipping anywhere in Canada. So great to have a vendor like that. The vendors that make that kind of stuff in Asia have, good quality, but you got to pay for shipping. The lead times are longer, and you can't just pick up the phone and have a conversation with them.
Yeah, very true.
Next dot down here in Idaho, this is a company called Jawstec, and Corey, our design friend up here in Alaska, he found Jawstec. They do 3D printing and micro manufacturing, so we get safe and sound micro cases from them. Those are multi-jet fusion printed out of an inert PA12 nylon. So Jawstec works with us on that. They do prototypes for us where we can see the fit and finish. We can see what the surface finish is like, what the quality is like. They're fantastic. Super quick lead times, very good prices, online quoting tool. And our contact there is Amy. And if I need to reach her on the phone, I just give her a ring. I know she's going to pick up. Super responsive over email. They've been wonderful to work with. And the shipping is very reasonable there. We can get stuff shipped FedEx ground from there. It's super cheap.
Great.
And now we are to our big dot here.
The big dot.
So these are our vendors in the Greater Toronto area. There are many. So we'll go from left to right. So our furthest out dot here down in London, this is Simcona Electronics of Canada. Our contact there is Chris. Again, great guy, answers the phone in one ring when I call him. He came out to our facility in Cambridge, actually, when I first started getting stuff from them to get a tour and see what our actual needs were. We get speakers from them, and we also get all of our soldering and conformal coating chemicals and things like that from them. Those types of supplies are usually some category of hazardous good, and so they're difficult to ship across the border, can't ship them via air, so we just get them from our vendor in London. They come FedEx ground, they show up the next day. It's like $15, $20 to get them shipped in. Our next Ontario vendor is up here, this dot right here.
Yeah, Kitchener.
This is Hammond Manufacturing, and their headquarters is actually over here in Guelph. But they do all their custom cases here in Waterloo. So we order standard Hammond cases for the Classic 2 and Pro 2 from Hammond. They ship them to this facility here in Waterloo, and then they do custom machining on them for us. So they machine out the holes for the LED lights, the display, the switches, the speaker holes, and then there's a bunch of internal machining we do to fit our circuit boards and battery clips, and we have a bunch of features where the speaker actually rests up against the case and is captured so it can't come loose, and they do all of that for us in Kitchener. So they do a little bit of design work for us. We work with them to make sure that our boards are going to fit right. They'll do prototype cases to make sure, they'll do like a single case to make sure everything's going to fit, and then we do all of our big orders through there. And our contact there is Jane, and she's great, super good to work with. Answers the phone right away, same day quotes over email, and anytime we need to go up there to do stuff in person, we're able to get a meeting with them. Jane, Darren, a couple other folks up there, within usually a day's notice they can actually meet with us in person. So they've been a totally wonderful vendor, and they actually have their own delivery truck. So they deliver stuff to us on their own truck, and I think the delivery charge is like $4 or $5 or something for like 2 pallets of cases or whatever.
Yeah, it's been great and interesting. The history and connection I have with Hammond Manufacturing. Obviously, there's hundreds of case manufacturers and modifiers in the world, especially in China. And when we started doing this, I was saying to David, it'd be really, really cool if we could work with a vendor like Hammond, because I actually met Fred Hammond, the father of Hammond Manufacture, manufacturing, and he was a long-time ham radio operator. And when I was a young boy, first getting my ham radio license and interest, I got to meet him, see his radio setup, and also get a personal tour of the manufacturing facilities in Guelph. And so there's a deep connection there. So it feels really good to be working with a family business that's been in existence for a few generations.
Definitely. And one of the things that pushed us, we wanted to work with them from the outset, and then it got really easy when we got some Chinese case samples for the Pro 2, because the co-molded rubber, the Pro 2 has the grippy sides, and that's a elastomeric. It's an elastomeric co-molded material. Our samples that we got from China, that was like peeling off. It wasn't actually bonded to the ABS plastic underneath.
Yeah.
And Hammond's process for that is just excellent. The adhesion is superb, and the blend between the two materials is great. Like the seam there is fantastic. And we've talked to them about that. They actually have a proprietary process that they use so that their co-molding becomes one piece. It's not just kind of a layer that's going to peel off.
Yep.
So that's been awesome. And then anytime we've had an issue, they are so great about fixing it, and the issues have been super minor. So there's no way we would use another vendor for cases like that. Based on our experience, there's no real cost savings to going elsewhere, because you give up so much on quality and just the ability to communicate with them. It'd be kind of cool to do a little tour video of their facility. We've taken a couple tours of their CNC facility up there, but might be fun to make a video for the channel sometime about that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay.
All right, so our next vendor here, this dot next to Highway 8, right off the 401 in Cambridge. This is Nemko, our local electronics testing lab. This is where we do the RF tests, Pro 2, Classic 2, Micro, and all of our future products. We have 2 in the works, and then there will be a bunch of derivatives based on those 2. They all get performance validated, and you might have seen the frequency response curves for our meters that we publish. Those are obtained in that test lab right here, using a standard procedure and using all certified, calibrated, NIST traceable equipment. And Fahar is our contact there. He's run a bunch of our tests for us, and awesome facility. Again, we just take our meters, drive up there. It's 15-minute drive.
Yep.
And we can do lab sessions there. And if we have an issue, we can go back and coordinate with them and do it all in person. It's really great. Our next dot here, there's 2 that are kind of close together.
Right here in Cambridge, yep.
This first one right here, this is MinuteMan Press. They're kind of all over North America. This is our local franchise, and Rustam is our contact there. I think he's owned that particular branch for 15 or 20 years. We get all of our print materials done there. So, our manual, anything that's printed on cardstock or paper. So manuals, the insert cards, things like that you see when you open up your zipper case that has your Pro 2, Classic 2, or your Cohaja custom box with your micro inside of it. That stuff's all printed right there. And again, if we have an issue, we just go down there, talk to them. We do local pickup from them, which is great. You get these big, heavy print materials done. We can just drive over there and pick it up. Don't even have to pay shipping. Then our next dot, right next to MinuteMan, is Smart Shield Custom Packaging. Our contact there is Bowie. And from Smart Shield, we get all sorts of custom foam. So when you open up a micro, say if it's on micro box, you'll notice the device is in this foam that has a cutout for the device, the USB charger, and the USB cable. That foam is cut at Smart Shield. And behind the scenes, all of our circuit boards that ship from EM Solutions in California that we talked about, in order to save money, reduce waste, and save time, we have custom anti-static foam cut that our circuit boards stack in. So we can have super high circuit board density in our boxes, which minimizes our FedEx shipping costs. And also, a lot of you have taken electronics out of their packaging, and sometimes it's in those silvery anti-static bags. Well, if you order circuit boards and you don't have custom packing, you'll get a box that's full of individual boards packed individually in those little bags. And that's all waste.
Yeah.
And so you pay for that. You pay for the bags. You pay to ship the bags in terms of weight. And then you create all of this waste. And it takes all of this time. Somebody has to put the board in the bag and put the little sticker on it to seal it. And then we have to take it out. So we get this custom foam made from Smart Shield, and it saves time on Kevin's end of things on EM Solutions. They just throw these things in the foam, drop them in the box. They fit perfect. They stack on each other. Saves a bunch of cost on FedEx and a bunch of fuel. And then we get these boxes, and we just lift out the foam layers and stack them on the workbench for our assembly line. And they actually, the boards travel in those foam layers down the assembly line until they're put in their case. So that's just been tremendous. I mean, the cost savings has been massive from that. And Smart Shield does a great job. They do these kind of laser cut, or I don't even know, I guess they're milled. And they give us samples to make sure the boards will fit perfect in there and survive shipping. So they've been wonderful to work with. Again, extremely responsive and local. So when we go to pick up our packing foam, we just drop by, throw it in the van or whatever, and we got it. No shipping cost. Our next vendor here in Guelph is this company called Gladius 3D. And they are another, obviously kind of a 3D printing, custom manufacturing company. They do super, super quick turn filament printed 3D printing stuff, which is what most of you will be familiar with. We have the little extruder nozzle, and it kind of lays down layers. So they have made a lot of our assembly jigs and some of our prototypes. So on our assembly line, we have jigs for board self-test and programming, and some fixturing as well for different steps in the process. And so Corey, our design friend up in Alaska there, he designed these jigs, and then Gladius will print out, we only need 2 or 3 of them. They'll print them out, and they actually bring it by and leave it at your front door. They drive around every day and drop off their prints to all the people in the local area. So free delivery, and usually you get your print the next day. So that's been so much nicer than having to have our own 3D printer and maintain it. And the quality of their prints is phenomenal. So they've been great to work with. And our contact there is Carter. Carter's kind of the lead guy there, and then they have a couple guys who do the printing and delivery for them.
Yeah, great.
Our next dot right here in Burlington is Spectrim Labels. So that's spelled SPEC and then TRIM as in trimming. Spectrim Labels. And our contact there is Randy. And we've worked with Spectrum since 2017, 5 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little before then, but yeah, basically 5 years. They do all of the front labels on the Pro 2, Classic 2, and Micro. So that Lexan adhesive label that's over the front, those are done by Spectrum. They also do the stickers that are on the back of the Classic 2, the building biology guideline dosage stickers, and they do our warranty stickers for our cases.
Yeah, the serial numbers and the stickers on the back.
Yep,
those
right,
round
those are
dots.
serialized as well.
Yeah,
for sure. And they did our Wisefone stickers when we were doing that project. So they've been awesome to work with as far as a custom print shop. They know the printing side really well. They know the adhesive side really well too, which is important when you're selecting these different stickers. And again, the reason we have a local vendor, the first batch of Classic ones that we did, we ordered labels from Asia.
Yeah.
And they came in 0.5 millimeter too big.
Yeah.
So they didn't fit in the Hammond case recess.
Yeah.
So we contacted them, our vendor in Asia. We said, these are too big. They're out of spec. They don't fit the case. And they said, oh, okay, if you want to order more, we can get you more quickly, and you just have to pay for them again. You just have to buy more from us. Which was like, I don't know, $1,000 or something, plus all the shipping. That was how they dealt with a quality issue. And with Spectrum, in contrast with having a local vendor right here, we send them a case. We just send them a case sample or drop one off in person. And they make sure it fits. And so the fit and finish has been perfect with them. And if there is an issue, we've had a couple issues with some of the printing not lining up right, or with holes being, not quite the right size or whatever. It's an email or a phone call. And if we need to, we can go down there and visit. They're about a half hour away. And it gets fixed right away. So we've never had to pay them twice for a product that was wrong. And their quality's been great. Their responsiveness is fantastic. So the contrast between that and our vendor experience overseas has been tremendous.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, you got to trim all those labels.
I did.
Get them to fit.
Yeah, 500 labels trimmed by hand.
Yeah,
that was fun.
for sure. So our next vendor here, this is Muir Tapes and Adhesives, and this is where we get all of our 3M VHB products from. Our contact at Muir is Jasmeet, and Muir basically does die cut or cut tape adhesives. So in some of our products, we use these to attach items to the circuit board during assembly. And we've ordered kind of bulk VHB from them in the past, just to have VHB for assembling our own fixturing and things like that. So again, it's been super great to have a local adhesives vendor. Oftentimes we can go down there and buy end cuts of rolls. So they'll have like this 8-foot wide roll of, essentially double stick tape. And they have these kind of waste end cuts that are a few inches. And we can just buy that from them at a huge discount from what VHB costs if you get it from even a bulk place like Uline. And it's awesome. And their in-stock supply of all the different adhesives would just blow your mind. So they've been a solid vendor to work with.
All right.
Our next vendor here is up in Brampton. And this is a company called Sawdust and Noise, which is kind of a fun name. They do plywood milling and laser etching. So we have some 9CI coasters that you might have seen on the channel. Bruce can probably pull up a picture of them.
Yeah, I'll show it right here in the video.
And Sawdust and Noise did those for us, and they basically take these they're a really nice quality plywood with a cosmetic overlay on each side.
Right.
And they'll laser cut them to exactly the right size, and then they can laser etch them with logos and patterns and stuff. And then the only thing you have to do after that is there's a protective paper that you peel off when you receive them. And they're just beautiful. And we've used them not just for the coasters, but also for a lot of our fixturing. So we'll get some of that fixturing 3D printed, as mentioned before. But some of the larger structural pieces, like the base of our programming station for the Pro 2s, for example, is a precision laser cut plywood. And then all of our tool holders on our assembly line. You could maybe show a picture of those, Bruce.
Yeah, for sure. Already got it on the screen.
Oh, perfect. Brilliant. So those are laser cut from Sawdust and Noise.
Yep.
And again, super easy to get in touch with them. Pick up the phone, send an email, same day response. No issues with them whatsoever. Quick quotes, excellent quality.
That's a great company name, Sawdust and Noise.
Yeah, we haven't been in their shop, but I would imagine that's the noise part.
Yeah, and a lot of sawdust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Next vendor right here in Mississauga. This is Gould Fasteners, and so they are an emporium of different types of screws and clips and you name it. If you need to hold two things together with hardware, they have it. And we are actually referred to them by Hammond. They supply all of Hammond's case screws. So if you ever get a Hammond product, fasteners came from Gould. So when we are making a new product or anything, we get in touch with our contact there, Rob, and he'll give us the stuff they carry in stock, the stuff they can get, and the stuff they can't get. He'll say, here's the menu. And it's been awesome just to know, what's going to be in stock. What can we get anytime? So we don't have to worry about custom orders. Our alternative to that would be something like a McMaster car catalog. And Gould is so much less expensive than McMaster, you just wouldn't believe it. Their prices are great. And they will also let us know sometimes when they have kind of overstock or kind of like the end cuts that we get from Muir, the extra tape. Sometimes they'll order, 150 pounds of a certain screw for some customer, and they'll only sell 110 pounds of it. So they'll have 40 left over. And they're like, hey, do you want a couple pounds of this fastener? And they'll already know that it's one we use in our products. They've also been great to work with in this whole, there's been a bunch of these tariffs going on. You guys might have heard something about that. But screws were one of the most heavily taxed item under these tariffs that have been thrown out in the last couple of years. And like to the tune of 10 cents per screw. It's almost that's almost $1 per device for something like the Micro or something like the Classic and the Pro 2. Mm-hmm. And Gould helped us navigate that. So stainless steel screws over 1/4 inch were not tariffed, but mild steel zinc plated screws over 1/4 inch were. So our mild steel screws went from being a couple cents each to like 12 cents each overnight. But stainless screws were still only, 5 or 6 cents. So there's a bunch of devices out there that have stainless steel screws in them because they could save us a lot of money doing that because we didn't have to pay tariff on those. So they've been awesome to work with, and they know how to navigate all that weird stuff and how to recommend different fasteners. They got us into Plastite fasteners. Like they explained everything about how they worked, and there's special screws for plastic that have these lobes that lock in without creating those white stress marks in the plastic. So it's been very educational to work with them too.
Okay.
And our last vendor here in the Ontario Greater Toronto area, this is Lens Mill Stores, or they have a couple other names like Lens Fabric. Our contact there is Samantha. This is up in North York, and we get all of our battery ribbon from them. So if you open the back of a Pro 2 or Classic 2, all of the newer ones have battery release ribbon, and that has to come from somewhere, and so we just get it from a local local vendor there. We buy, how much do we buy at a time? Hundreds of yards.
600 meters at a time.
Yeah. So we get a bulk discount from them, and again, it's local shipping, costs almost nothing to get it from them, and they have awesome stock. So it's just been a lot easier to work with them than getting it from overseas and not knowing what color you're going to get or when it's going to arrive, any of that.
Yeah, and as people will know, it's a green silk satin ribbon, and we can always make a joke that with that vendor, it's like, well, we just make a lot of green lingerie.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Safe living green.
Safe living green. Excellent.
Yeah. So those are the vendors we use for the products we make for Safe Living Technologies. There are some other products that we make for other customers, and there are a few other major vendors that we have in the States and in Canada for those other products we make. I'm not going to go through them here, but we do the same thing for any product we're going to make. We try to source as much as we can from semi-local vendors, and like I mentioned, even the ones who are kind of spread out across the states, we've visited almost all of them in person, and we've worked with most of them for many years. So there's no substitute for that, and you don't save money by looking for the cheapest possible vendor in the farthest corners of the earth. It just doesn't work that way.